Miracles We Have Seen, Chapter 16. Miracle of the Crushed Child. Eagle Creek Evangelical Friends, a strong, spirit-filled congregation, worshipped for nearly a century in a white-frame wooden church located near the cemetery in Eagletown, Indiana. In the 1970s, this growing church moved to a new brick building 1/2 mile to the north. The old church building bulged with a congregation more than twice its intended capacity. New people continued to come to worship, to join this lively group of Christians. It was nigh impossible to find a parking place if one arrived too late. On one such morning, a tragedy struck in the small congregated parking lot of that white-framed country church. On one such morning, a tragedy struck in the small, congested parking lot of that white-framed country church. One of the older parishioners, attempting to leave the parking lot, discovered that his auto was blocked in every direction. He decided to move forward to the only available spot adjacent to the church building. He had hoped to maneuver his car alongside the church and perhaps find an exit. He did not notice a group of small children playing in that area. Several members on the inside of the church were sharing last moments of fellowship. The warm afterglow of the morning worship service was suddenly punctuated by a loud scream from the parking lot. Everyone ran to the exits to determine what had happened. A horrible spectacle met their eyes. A little girl, about 6 years old, lay crumpled beneath an automobile. She was lifeless and still. Little Gail, it seemed, was dead. "Pastor," the mother screamed, "come quickly, pray for my daughter." The parking lot came alive with people praying, all weeping for this apparently dead child. The driver of the car was shocked and stood motionless, head bowed in disbelief. It appeared that a tragedy had devastated Eagle Creek Church. Would it be able to recover the spirit of revival that was moving through its ranks? It appeared that the enemy had the upper hand. What could we do? Call an ambulance? Little Gail was struggling to breathe. Blood was oozing from her mouth. The car had run over her chest and face. It was apparent that several bones were broken. The skull appeared to be fractured. What should we do? Would she survive if we waited much longer? Her mother, Shirley, looked at me and said, "Let's rush her to the hospital." We picked up the limp body of that broken child, placed her in her mother's arms, and raced toward Riverview Hospital, some 10 miles away. Gail was motionless. All of us prayed fervently as we broke all speed limits in a race against death. "Please, God, don't let this child die." As we raced through Westfield, 4 miles from Eagletown, a miracle happened. Suddenly, Gail sat up in her mother's arms. There was a great rush of praise and thanksgiving from everyone in the car. We knew that Gail was going to live. We knew our prayers had been answered. But would she be scarred or crippled from the terrible weight that had passed directly over her body? Only time would tell. Gail Harper had a very quick recovery. There were no apparent after-effects of the accident. In fact, she developed into a beautiful young cheerleader for Westfield High School. But even more so, Gail grew up to be a wonderful Christian leader and mother of 2 children. Every time I see her, I am reminded of the day she was brought back from apparent death to bless her church, school, and society. Gail Hopper, in our opinion, is a living miracle.